Hello, welcome to Analyze the Block. Today we'll be going over the foundations of blockchain technology, and because these are the foundations that everything crypto is built upon, we'll be going over these concepts in layman terms. What we'll be covering today will be what blockchain technology is, what are miners and mempool, what are nodes and hash rate, block rewards, cryptocurrency, and a short story at the end of the video explaining why all of these matters. Now, blockchain. This is a system of recording information across an entire network of computer systems in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. But because I know you are not here to read what Google can give you, I'm going to try to break this down using analogies and comparisons. To understand what blockchain technology is and how it works, you must be familiar with the current data storage system. Today, we use a centralized system whereby all our data are stored in a central server controlled by a handful of people. These are entities like government and big corporations like Facebook, Google, Amazon, you name them. What this entails is only these authorized fellows know what is being stored, how it's being stored, how what is being stored is used, and more, giving them an autonomy over the most powerful resources of today, information. This is an unfair advantage for us we know living in the age of information. Whoever controls the data controls the wealth and power. Look no further than the likes of Facebook and Google. Now, in comparison to blockchain technology, instead of storing this data in one system and by one entity, this data is stored by several systems and several entities, which can be anyone and everyone. 2. Instead of a selected few knowing what's being stored, any and everyone has access to that information. 3. Instead of a selected few having full control of how to use the data, the many gets that control. Here I know, everything sounds so theoretical up to this point, so let's bring down this further. The above is only possible because of the architecture of this system. Now I want you to think of the term blockchain like the two parts of its name, a block and a chain. Think of the block as a literal container, a container that has a finite amount of data it can hold. And the chain is a connection between each containers. For example, so let's say here at ATB we create our own blockchain, and at this particular moment we have 6 people using the blockchain. Let's call them Collins, John, Juliet, Loveland, UJ, and Joy. Collins is looking to make a trade on our blockchain network. John wants to use a gaming app. Juliet wants to make a trade, Loveland app, UJ trade, Joy app. So it doesn't really matter the transaction. All we know that they are making transactions on the blockchain. Let's also assume our ATB blockchain can only contain 2 transactions at a time. Here's what's going to happen to the blockchain. It will take the first 2 transactions, Collins and John, put them in a block. Let's call the block 0. And then add the block to the network. Then take the next 2 transactions, Juliet and Loveland, do the same, put them in a block. Let's call it block 1, and chain them to the previous block 0. Then take the next 2 blocks, UJ and Joy, do the same, put them in the block 2, and chain them to the previous block 1. And this pattern continues. Now, here's the genius of this system. Because of the system of chaining blocks to the previous ones, it makes it impossible for anyone to go in and change whatever data has been stored in any of the old blocks. Because every new block is based on the previous one, and changing an old block will affect everything under it, thus corrupting the whole network. And that's why any information stored on the blockchain is permanent. And that's the brief on blockchain security, which is the cornerstone of this technology. Now let's talk about another cornerstone, decentralization. Remember the part of having to store the data contained in the network on several systems? That's called decentralization. In the traditional system, all these networks, that's the block and the chain, will be stored in a central system like the server plant, controlled by one or few entities. In contrast to this, in the decentralized world of blockchain, all this network is stored by several systems, run by several people all around the world. Moving on to mempool and miners. Mempool is where all the valid transactions wait to be confirmed by the blockchain network. To explain this in layman terms, we will need our 6 characters again. Collins, John, Juliet, Loveland, UJ, and Joy. Previously, we say the blocks on our ATB blockchain only accept 2 transactions at a time. Now let's add one small tweak to that. Instead of the transactions going from the users to the block, it goes into a pool, which is again another container. The mempool collects all transactions before they are then transferred to the block. Now let's put a pin on that and talk about the miners for a second. So miners, if you've been wondering, hey Renzo, where do these blocks come from? Firstly, 10 brain points to you, because that's a brilliant question. And the answer to your question is they are mined. You probably like miners? Yeah, miners. Like the digger and axe or something, those kind of miners? Well, nope, but much like them. Here's the difference. Instead of axe, the blockchain miners use computers. Instead of tilling the earth, they crunch complex mathematical equations. Instead of mining for precious metals, they are mining for blocks. So you see, miners, easy concept to grasp, right? And that's the perfect segue to the next concept, nodes and hash rate. A node's main purpose is to verify each batch of the network transactions called blocks. Before you ask, yes, a miner is a node. Here's how it plays out. Let's say we have 10 miners/node on our ATB blockchain, miners 0, 1, 2 to 10. And miner 4 mines a block. Here's what happens. Before that block is used to collect transactions, it is verified by the majority of nodes on the network. This majority is usually at least 51% of the network. So in our case, at least 5 nodes out of the remaining 9 will have to verify if that block is legit before it's then used to collect data and subsequently added to the ATB network. So what this means is to corrupt the blockchain, you will have to have control of at least 51% of the node on the network. That's to say, if there are 1,000 nodes securing the network, you have to control at least 501 nodes to control that network. So imagine the case for Bitcoin, where there are over millions of nodes. And that's why Bitcoin is the most secure network in the world today. And hash rate. Hash rate, also called hash power, is the measure of a cryptocurrency miner's performance. Simply put, is the measure of how good your mining system is as a miner. Block reward. This refers to the monetary incentive you get if you successfully mine a block of a currency. And this is how cryptocurrencies are born. Every cryptocurrency in circulation was created as a block reward of some sort. So here's a typical economic cycle of a cryptocurrency. First, bettered as a mining reward. Then the miners sell or send the cryptocurrency to an exchange or another user. Then we get to access these cryptocurrencies and pass it around. Simple, right? This is the perfect segue to what a cryptocurrency is. A cryptocurrency is a digital currency in which transactions are verified and records maintained by a decentralized system using cryptography, rather than by a centralized authority. Long story short, it's a new form of money that's resistant to corruption. And finally, a story time. Firstly, I am no Chino Achebe or nothing. I'm merely trying to put all of this in context to help you see why you should care about all of this. So let's get to it. Here is Tom. Tom earns an annual salary of $50,000, but has plans to buy a new car of $20,000, a new house of $40,000, and take a vacation of $10,000 by the end of the year. All of these total $70,000. So Tom has to make an extra $20,000 by the end of the year for him to be able to achieve his dream. So Tom set out from the start of the year to up his work ethics to earn that extra $20,000, which he did. Now Tom is feeling all warm and fuzzy inside because he can finally afford the life he desires. What Tom did not foresee though were the actions of big old Uncle Sam and his favorite tool, the money printer. So Uncle Sam goes on to print an ocean of money and inflate the economy. Because why not? That's the only way they know how to stimulate the economy. Now that money gets into the system and inflation starts to rise. The car that used to cost 20k now costs 25. The house that used to cost 40 now costs 50. The vacation that used to cost 10 now costs 15. Now Tom is stuck with two choices. Settle for less or go back to work some more. But here's the catch. Irrespective of what choice Tom makes, it won't matter. Because he is owned. Yes, you are Tom and you are owned. Whoever controls your money controls your time and space. Whoever controls your time and space controls you. Tom's dream house was stolen from him without his awareness. His space was stolen. Tom's vacation was stolen from him, his time. He could go back to work and work some more. But who's to say the same thing won't repeat itself? Now, this is just one problem of many that blockchain aims to fix. With cryptocurrencies, everything about its supply is predetermined. So the value of your effort cannot be printed away because some people in fancy suits deem it so. There are several applications of blockchain that one can base a whole channel and it will never lack content. But here is the takeaway of the day. Whoever controls the data controls the wealth and power. And blockchain's sole purpose is to remove that control from the hands of a few to the hands of the many. Thank you for sticking to the end of this video. Let me know in the comment section what you would like us to talk about next.